Rachel, and this is baby Osara, and we are here in Bahia Jaque, Osa Peninsula in Costa Rica. And I'm really excited today because today is my first official vlog, and I've been wanting to do this for a while and just determined to make it happen through busy life as a new mom and yeah, just the world as it is. So making it happen. And I wanted to start off talking about free birth or unassisted birth, especially while it was so fresh still. Baby Osara is 4 months old. Yeah, and I wanted to share a little bit about it because I feel like it isn't talked about that much, and it was such a powerful experience for me that I think it'd be nice for people to know about it more. You know, especially at least where I came from before in the States, you know, if you're going to be having a baby, I feel like, you know, you have a few different options in your mind. At least I did, where I came from. You could go to a hospital, you could go to a birth center, you could do a home birth with a midwife, and those are kind of roughly, you know, the options that were in my mind, and I feel like is in the mind of a lot of people. But I also just want to bring in the other option and perspective of a free birth too, and allow that to be something that's more in the framework of people's minds to decide. And yeah, and I really just want to make it clear too that this isn't about that one way to choose to deliver your baby is better than another, because it's totally a personal choice and a personal preference, and really needing to tune into that, but more so wanting to share my story and information as a means to allow there just to be more options, and have free birth be an option in people's minds when choosing to give birth and what that can look like. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about just what is free birth, why people choose free birth, how I came to choose free birth, and what it did for me. So first of all, what is free birth or unassisted birth? And just the, you know, the definition of it really is birth without the presence of a trained medical doctor or midwife. So in that, you know, it can look a lot of different ways, and this is totally for you to decide, and that's the beauty of free birth. It's, you know, you're really creating what your birth looks like. You know, so just because you don't have a trained medical doctor or a midwife present, your birth can look a lot of different ways still. You know, some women choose and just want it to be just them there. Some people just them and their partners, some people them and their families, and some people there with, you know, maybe another birth worker like a doula, someone who's, you know, been to births but just isn't in the trained professional sense of being a doctor or midwife. So yeah, so it can definitely look a lot of different ways, and I would love to do a whole nother video on choosing your birth team and really putting intention and thought into that. So you may be wondering, why would someone choose to give birth without a doctor or midwife present? You know, and that can be for a lot of different reasons too. A couple of the main reasons I feel like people end up choosing that path. One is just for pure access issues, depending on where you are in the world. You know, I feel like people come to free birth because they want, you know, the overall energy is that they want to have a natural birth. But having access issues of maybe there's no midwives that live nearby, or no birth centers that are nearby, or maybe even just really far away from a hospital even, or any kind of anything, you know. You may not have access to those kind of facilities or those kind of professionals, so you want to have a natural birth still, so you end up doing free birth. You know, and back in the day, free birth wasn't even really a name, because people just gave births at their houses because that's what they did. Because maybe there wasn't even a hospital nearby, or there wasn't a trained midwife. It was people that were just used to being around for birth, or just the family even, you know, depending on where people lived. And another reason I think people end up choosing free birth nowadays is the economic cost issue as well. You know, you may want to have a natural birth in your home, but right now usually the cost of a midwife is about $4,000 more or less on average to have a midwife come. So depending on, you know, your economic situation, you may not have $4,000 to be able to have a midwife come into your home, or you may not live near a birth center to have that option to, you know, have something. I know a lot of birth centers nowadays are covered under insurance, so that can be an option for people. But if you're wanting to do a home birth and have a midwife come, then you may not have the money for that. So that can be another reason why people end up choosing free birth, if they want to give birth in their homes naturally but don't have the money. Another reason I think people come to free birth too is just, yeah, depending on where you live and the medical staff you're working with, you may have like a certain birth condition that people won't deliver your babies naturally in your home. You know, if you're having twins or multiples, or if you had a previous cesarean section, or you're having a breech baby, you know, not everyone is trained to deliver these babies naturally in the home, or they can't do it because of insurance, or there's a lot of different reasons. So people, you know, can come to free birth because they still want to have a natural home birth or natural birth, and they may not have the medical staff available who's trained to be there or can deliver their babies with insurance purposes and that whole thing. So that can be another reason too. You know, and with all these things, I'll talk more about this, but you definitely want to prepare yourself as well and educate yourself and, you know, have the support you need in this too. Yeah, another kind of last reason I want to talk about why people choose free birth is, and a really big one, I feel like, is the comfort factor. You know, in birth, the body knows how to give birth, just like the body knows how to breathe, the body knows how to poop, the body knows how to do these things. And it's the same with birth, you know, the body has muscles and has mechanisms and has hormones and has all these things in place that knows how to do it. And I feel like, you know, some of the biggest things that get in the way or can either help or hinder a birth is, you know, just like the mental and the emotional factors, and the feeling comfortable, you know, really feeling comfortable. Because if your body feels comfortable, you feel comfortable, you know, it just allows those physical actions that the body already knows how to do just to happen. But if you don't feel comfortable, then, you know, the body tightens up. You know how it is when you're stressed out. It's like you get tense and you get tight. And it's the same with birth, you know. Yeah, if you're, you know, so depending on your situation, you may feel more comfortable, you know, in your home without a midwife or a doctor, because, you know, maybe you don't really know that person that well, and and you wouldn't feel as comfortable with them being there. Or in a hospital, you might not feel as comfortable with, you know, different staff there, coming in and out, being able to fully open up to give birth. And this is really where it comes down to such a personal preference and a personal knowingness, because you know, someone may feel a lot more comfortable being in a hospital, having a doctor there, and that's going to make them feel more comfortable. And so then you would want to choose to be in a hospital in that sense. Or you may feel more comfortable excuse me, having a midwife, a trained midwife, in your presence at your birth, and that's going to make you feel more comfortable than if they weren't. So the comfort factor is really you having to tune into yourself, feeling into what's going to feel more comfortable for you. Yeah, so that's really, yeah, just doing that inner work and that inner knowing to know what's going to feel good for you. Yeah, so I feel like those are, yeah, some of the big reasons why people choose free birth. But going into how I came to choose free birth is kind of a combination of a lot of those different reasonings. I'd love to do a whole nother video about our birth story, but just kind of briefly kind of going into more how we chose free birth. So we found out, me and my partner found out we were pregnant actually the morning that we were moving to Costa Rica. So it definitely brought up a lot of unknowns, because we weren't necessarily planning on having a baby at that point. But at that point it was like we were already coming here, so it definitely felt like our baby wanted to be born here. But it opened up a lot of questions in my mind about where we're going to give birth, who's going to deliver the baby, all these things, because, you know, if we would have just been in the States, I feel like maybe I already had a track laid out just based on what people I knew already did. So I might have, you know, chosen to do the whole going to a birth center, because there was birth centers where we lived, and it would have been covered under insurance, so that would have helped with that aspect and that whole thing. But it was actually really nice in a sense that I didn't just have the track all laid out, because it helped open me up to whole new options and to really actually think about it on a deeper personal level first, before just jumping into a path that was already laid out for me, just because it seemed easy, because you know, I felt like I would know what to do. So yeah, being down here, we ended up settling in a kind of remote area of the country, in the Osa Peninsula, where when I started, you know, we came here, and I definitely felt like the place that we wanted to give birth, just being so beautiful and in the jungle and feeling so good being here. But yeah, looking into it, lots of looking into it, yeah, there wasn't any midwives around. So access was definitely a huge issue, not having access to midwives or a birth center or anything for a natural birth. And then economics was also an issue, because, you know, we came down, you know, only with so much money, and not in the process of making more money in the moment. So, you know, the cost of a midwife down here was still kind of comparable to the States. So that would have been like almost all the money we had in the moment. So it didn't really seem feasible to have a midwife, or to pay to get a midwife out here, or to relocate for the birth for a midwife, it didn't really seem feasible. So yeah, I was just being open to but still knowing that I wanted to have a natural birth and feeling like I wanted it to be here. So it was just sitting with that and feeling how that could look. And I actually ended up talking to a friend who gave birth down here, and she told me that she ended up doing a free birth, and she ended up working with a woman, a midwife, a trained midwife, but over the phone, who helped coach her and kind of give, some assistance that way to prepare her for her free birth. So that actually, it opened up a lot of my mind, and it almost seemed really radical when I first started thinking about it, because it just never really was in my mind that I would have done a free birth before. But actually my partner, way back when, years ago, he said, if we ever do have a child, I want it to be just us there. But at that time, I thought that was definitely extreme. It felt extreme for me. And I was like, oh, okay, but, we'll have a midwife in the next room or something like that. Just because, it just felt so extreme to be doing a free birth because, it really is not really talked about that much, I feel like, at least amongst, where I came from. It wasn't really talked about that much. So, but then when I got to talk to someone else who had done a free birth and had the option to work with someone on the phone and get prepared in that way, I definitely felt more comfortable to be able to do that. So yeah, I feel like in that, you definitely want to feel comfortable, and however that may be. And in that, whether you do work with someone who could help coach you to do a free birth, or to educate yourself in reading books, or just different ways to prepare yourself. You really want to make sure you feel comfortable in whatever that may look like. So I guess I had the benefit already that my partner felt comfortable to begin with, so that made me feel more comfortable. But in that, you may not have someone, a partner, husband, someone in your life that feels comfortable with free birth. So then that's where, you'd want to really figure out who you want to have on your birth team. Whether it be bringing in a doula, or bringing in another, woman who's given birth before, or a family member, or what that looks like. Because you really want whoever is present there to feel comfortable, so you can feel the most comfortable. And going on the comfort factor, after I really tuned into it even more, I realized that, like, I'm a private person in some senses, that, like, I don't even like to talk on the phone in front of people. So thinking about, just someone that I kind of knew being at my birth, I realized that I wasn't going to feel as comfortable with that. And what really was going to make me feel most comfortable was me being there with just my partner, giving birth to our baby. Because if you really think about it, the birth is the opposite end of the making love process. And you think about how it is making love, and it's a very private private, intimate thing, you know, and if someone else was there, you may not feel as comfortable to fully open up. So I feel like that's a really big factor too. It's just kind of tuning into that, because yeah, no, it's really the biggest thing is just the comfort and feeling comfortable to allow the body to open like that. And yeah, and talking with, getting to work with the midwife that we worked with, that made me feel comfortable being able to have someone to ask questions to bounce ideas off of, and actually hearing from her, from having gone to birth and then kind of transitioning more over to free birth. She said that, the presence of someone else there, she definitely noticed that it had an effect. And me really tuning into that, I can totally see how that would have an effect. Just the presence of someone else there would change the energy. And I think in that, it's like people want someone else there because it feels safer to them. But in the end, it's like if you prepare yourself and prepare yourself for all the different potentials of possibilities of what can happen and all those things, then it's you've empowered yourself for those things. So you don't necessarily need someone there to make you feel safe, because you've given yourself that power to educate yourself, to prepare yourself for the potentials. And I definitely know that when I first started talking to people about doing free birth, there's all the what ifs, or what if this happens, what if this happens, and I feel like, something can happen in a hospital and at the home, and tragedies happen in hospitals and in the home. It's not like if you go to the hospital, it's a foolproof thing. It's definitely not at all. And I think choosing to do it at home, it's really just about preparing yourself, and preparing yourself for those what ifs, learning more into what if the cord's wrapped around the neck. Okay, well then we researched that and found out that that's actually another abnormality of, it's another degree of normal, that 25% of babies have cords wrapped around their neck, and then you just you look into how you unwrap them. And take away the scary things, and learn about, okay, if you have excessive bleeding, what can you do for that, and just preparing yourself for all the what ifs. And yeah, kind of leading into what free birth did for me in all of this was really giving me the empowerment and the responsibility for my life. This being like an initiation for that, because it was like everything I wanted to have at my birth, I had to be the one to make it happen, and I had to be the one to be responsible. Me and my partner, and me and whoever your team is, being responsible for it, and being responsible for educating yourself and preparing yourself, and empowering yourself. And I just feel like giving myself the opportunity to put myself in that position to be, you know, really in full control of my birth and every aspect of it, and having to trust myself to be able to do that, to prepare myself, to empower myself. I feel like that really opened up the space for now after the birth, thinking about, okay, what am I birthing in my life? And I have to be the one to be responsible and to empower myself in that. You know, if I want to create something, okay, I need to be the one to do the research and learn about it and figure out the steps I need to do and see who I need to work with to be able to do that, and really just take charge and to realize that I'm the one birthing my life, you know, and really I'm the one birthing this child. You know, the doctors and the midwives don't birth your child, you birth your child, and they can assist you. Just like in life, you know, what you're creating in your life, you're the one that has to create it. You're the one that has to birth it. No one else is going to do it for you. And I feel like, yeah, just free birth really opens up this. Free birth really opens up this empowerment and this responsibility to birth your life, to birth yourself, to birth your child. But yeah, and this once again goes back down to how I started this, though, is really tuning into yourself and tuning into what feels best for you, and being real with that, because you know, you're designing your birth no matter where you are. If you are in a hospital, if you do have a midwife, all of that. Just remember that you are the one designing your birth as well. So you really just have to tune into what's going to make you feel most comfortable, most good, what's going to give you the best birthing experience. So, okay, I think we'll leave it at that. And I feel like I have so much more to say about free birth and different aspects that I'd like to go into. And this is just want to open it up, and I'd love to hear any questions people have and comments. And yeah, I'm excited to share more. So be sure to like and subscribe to hear more, and I'd love to hear from you. Okay, ciao, thank you.